This is where I was October 2023, and this is where I ended up by April of 2024. What I'm going to share with you are tips that I used in my own journey that helped me improve at the rate I did. For number one, we have coming to terms with losing. I'm not saying be okay with losing, but rather understand that it's a necessary part of the process for improving. If you fear losing too much, it'll be easy to develop queue anxiety, which will ultimately lead to you playing the game less. How I came to terms with losing is by simply analyzing my elo chart. Whenever there was a big dip in my elo, I was fully aware that it would always come back around and most times result in a new peak. The reason why is because I always understood that when I lose, there's something to learn and gain from it. Losing can be the most valuable thing you'll experience while you're climbing on the Faceit ladder. Don't let a poor first half dictate your second half. This same principle applies to even having a bad first few rounds. Other than economic implications, the past rounds you played have no influence on how you perform in the future. Rather than focusing on your placement on your team's scoreboard, focus on how you can generate round wins for your team and understand that even if you're having an off day, there are other ways to manufacture winning situations for you and your teammates. I made a YouTube short covering this topic, which is located on my channel if you're wanting more information on this topic. Don't play tilted. Any experienced Counter-Strike player will agree that this game is just as much mental as it is mechanical. Having a frustrated attitude clouds up your ability to make rational decisions, which ultimately leads you making less than optimal choices in-game, resulting in a poor performance and likely a loss for you and your team. A strategy that I employed during my climb was taking frequent breaks. Even on those days where I played 15 plus matches a day, after any game that I experienced a somewhat high level of frustration, I would just take a break. Whether it be an hour-long break or just a 15-minute break, it's important to take your mind off the game and reset your mental. Doing this will make it so you're ready to go back into your next game and win with a clear mind. There are almost an infinite amount of aim guides on YouTube from other content creators which give you insight you need to develop your own aim routine. I made one a few weeks ago where I talked about what I did to improve my aim. If you want to check that video out, I left the link in the description. But what matters more than having a great training routine is remaining consistent with it. If you don't train often or you only train once a week or less, you'll likely never see any significant improvements. I recommend developing a training plan that's realistic to your schedule, and even if you don't have time for Faceit games, at least have time to train. Learning lineups is something that most players choose to ignore. I'm not talking about learning how to smoke mid-window on Mirage, I'm talking about knowing lineups on maps that are not played as often. You should know site smokes for every site on each competitive map. This tip is especially true in lower levels of Faceit where you can expect no one on your team, or the enemy team for that matter, to hardly know any lineups. The best way to go about learning lineups is to find good ones on YouTube, practice them in a private match until you're confident you can hit it 100% of the time, then make a conscious effort to throw them in-game.
Before we get into our next tip, we have to give a quick thank you to today's sponsor, SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a fully automated CS2 trading site. SkinsMonkey provides an instant way to get new skins. Along with that, they have a 24/7 live chat support, so if you run into any problems, they'll be right there to help you. If you're interested in finding a specific skin, you can use their search tool. Better yet, if you're not sure what skin you're looking for, you can use their filter tool to find exactly what you're looking for. If you use my promo code RyderDie, you can earn up to $5 for free. Trade up $100 to make the most of it. Now, if you don't want to trade your skins but you'd rather buy, SkinsMonkey is now offering a 30% deposit bonus. And if you use my promo code RyderDie, you'll receive an additional 5%. This is not a one-time use, so you can use my promo code RyderDie to receive that 35% deposit bonus as often as you'd like. Now, if all that wasn't enough, SkinsMonkey also gives you the opportunity to win free skins every day. All you have to do is join their giveaways. Remember, use code RyderDie to get up to $5 for free and claim your 35% deposit bonus. Thank you, SkinsMonkey, for sponsoring this video. Knowing lineups for smokes, flashes, mollies, or HEs is a great way to generate advantages for your team, and also a really good way to use your utility. But there's a clear difference in knowing lineups and being proficient in using utility. Austin CS made a video about this recently, and I suggest you check it out. Link to that will be in the description. What he mentioned in the video is that pros and high elo players don't have to know lineups for every position that they're in. It would simply just be impossible to memorize every potential spot that you could be in and have lineups for every potential spot that you could find yourself in. It's just not realistic. What these players do instead is master how these nades work. They understand the trajectory, whether they're moving when they throw it, they're underhanding it, left and right clicking it, you name it. They know how to use them. More importantly, they know how to use them on the fly as well. What I'm trying to say is there are a ton of benefits that come along from just practicing using nades in an offline match. You could do that or take conscious notes on how you're throwing nades in game. There's a ton to learn in this department. If you want to learn more about it, I strongly suggest you take a look at Austin CS's video. Another big tip is reviewing your win rates on each map. Identify which maps you're lacking on and try to do research to see how you can improve. Currently, the map I realize I'm deficient on is Mirage, so in order for me to improve, I've been running pre-fire maps on Mirage, watching high elo streamers, and watching my own replays on the map. There's a ton of content online that can be used to help improve your skill on any map.
If you're looking for more of an improve now kind of tip for this, if you have Faceit Premium, you can choose up to 2 maps that you do not want to queue. While I work on Mirage, I've chosen not to queue Inferno because it will be the next map I decide to put my attention on. Both of these maps are hosting my lowest win rates. I just mentioned pre-fire maps a second ago, and if you're unfamiliar with these, I strongly suggest you give them a look. Prac and Refrag both have pre-fire maps you can check out so you can develop better crosshair placement. While you're using these maps, I suggest you also clear angles that enemies could potentially be in. Even if the map you're playing doesn't have them there, it's important that you check them anyway because you never know where the enemy could be during a real match. This will also eliminate for the chance for you to develop bad habits as you grind these maps out. You need to practice counter strafing. If there was one single skill that helped me improve the most, it was improving my counter strafing. Even today while I do my warm-ups, I always focus on my movement and how I counter strafe. If you seem to be missing a lot of shots in game but are grinding aim labs every day, I challenge you to take a look at your demo and analyze your first bullet accuracy. I bet most of you watching this actually have quite good aim but fail to consistently and correctly counter strafe in your games. Something that's helped me a lot recently is working on my movement. I found that having better control of my player model results in me getting around the map faster and easier. This results in me being in more optimal situations to help my team win rounds. Good ways to practice this is downloading the KZHub from the workshop, which I put in the description. What you could also do is jump into a map in practice mode and start practicing skill jumps on that map. There are also plenty of guides online that will help you learn these jumps so you consistently pull them off in game. What I did while I was getting to level 10 and still do to this day is watch pro players Faceit demos and high elo streamers. A good place to watch this is LIM-CS POV. There you can find replays of whatever pro player you want to watch. If you look, you can even see a full replay of the game I played with Donk. The real benefit from watching these guys is learning what utility they're throwing and see firsthand just how crafty they are at making plays. What I've done is try replicating the things I've watched and seeing what works for me and what doesn't. Most everything I do in game while I make plays are things that I've watched much better players do first. Speaking of watching demos, there are a ton of benefits from watching your own. For Faceit, getting your demos downloaded is really easy. All you have to do is go to the match room of the game that you want to watch, click watch demo, extract that file into Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Game, CSGO. Once you extracted it there, rename it to something that you can remember. Once it's extracted, open up CS, bring up the console and type play demo and then the file name. Once you're there, you can start watching your replay. If you're unsure on what to be looking for, start with where you're dying. Analyze common trends that you see and whatever mistakes you're making the most, that's where you need to start improving. An interesting thing you can do once you're in a demo is listen to voice comms. Open up the console and type TV_listen_voice_indices -1. This will allow you to hear your own communication in game and what the enemy is also saying. The reason why I mention this is for our next tip. For number 13, we have develop better communication skills. While you're listening to your comms in game, start analyzing how helpful it is. The key to having good in-game communication is be clear, concise, and informative. Let your teammates know if the enemy team has a timing to be somewhere. Remember, unless you're the last person alive, people on your team don't see what you see and they can't hear what you hear. Any information they can use is valuable. Being toxic to your teammates can lead to them performing even worse. So it's important that no matter how frustrated you get with your team, that you just keep it to yourself. Flaming your teammates will not make them play better. One thing that I learned from playing with Donk is that regardless of the circumstance, he is always maintaining a good attitude and is friendly to his team. So if the number one player in the world is like that, perhaps you should too.
Good damage.
Thank you. It's important to approach the game with a team-oriented mindset. Even if you're solo queue, you'll never win a game by yourself. Regardless of how difficult it may be, always try to coordinate plans with your team, and while you're playing, always try to position yourself so you're tradable or you can trade your teammate if they get killed. Most of my journey was solo queue, but during my journey, I did meet a few people that I played games with. Most of the people I met though were not through LFG pages, but rather in-game. If I ever got matched with someone I enjoyed playing with, I would always ask them if they wanted to queue. There's no better way to find good teammates than to play with one and ask them if they want to play. The worst thing that can happen is they just say no. But you'll be surprised, most people when you ask them if you want to queue will also want to play with other players that approach the game with the same mindset and want to win. Regardless of how many hours you played the game, or no matter how good you think you are, or how good you become, it's important to remain humble. Improving stops when the ego begins. Realize that you're a student of the game and no matter who you are, there is always something new to learn. Even though we must remain humble and be ready to learn, it's equally important to also be confident. This doesn't mean justify bad plays with an ego or swing ramp into 5 enemies every round, but rather trust your abilities. If you really care about the game and if you've been practicing enough, you should be confident that you can win games. If you convince yourself that the enemy team is better than you, regardless if they are or not, you will play poorly.
The same goes if you convince yourself that you're better than who you're playing against. Those who say they can and those who say they cannot are both usually right. Be patient. Getting better at Counter-Strike doesn't happen overnight, but rather over a span of several months or even years of practice. The game is very difficult and there's a lot to learn. Give yourself time to improve and I promise results will come. Last but most certainly not least is to have fun. Counter-Strike is a game that should be enjoyed. Once you lose sight of that, getting better at the game will become impossible. This will also eventually lead to burnout. So if you feel as if you're playing too much, then take a break. Also, don't neglect your mental health. Don't put too much value in your current rank and treat every game as an opportunity to play your best and enjoy the game you spent so much time trying to get better at. Thank you for watching my 20 tips for climbing Faceit. Before I close out the video, I want to quickly shout out to all the RyderDie members. A special thank you to Breezy, RyderDie CS, Tony, LIM-CS, Wishy, Sparta, Wilson CS2, Demi, Charlie, Scarface, Covey, Monty, Uncle Drew, Lonely, Smole Devin, and Chill. You guys give me a ton of motivation to keep improving my videos. Also, if you haven't joined already, be sure to join the RyderDie Discord. We host giveaways every month and do custom 10-mans. You can also reach out to me there and ask me questions about CS or anything else. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. Thanks for watching.